Here are 5 times Peter Griffin had superpowers. Starting with the episode Death is a Bitch, where Peter accidentally got the power to send people to the afterlife. It all began in the bedroom, where Peter and Lois were about to have some funny time. But the fun suddenly ended when Lois felt a lump.
Oh my God, I found a lump, a breast lump.
The lump made Peter think he was gonna die from cancer. Don't be afraid, alcoholism will kill you sooner. Scared, he went to the hospital. At the hospital, he did some tests and started to wait for the results. Peter was sure that he was doomed.
I'm gonna die.
He said goodbye to his loved ones, chose a casket for himself, and began selling his stuff to make some money for his family. When the test results came, he rushed to the hospital. There, the doctor announced the verdict.
Mr. Griffin, all your tests came back negative. As it turns out, the lump on your chest was just a fatty corpuscle.
Peter was so happy until he got a huge bill for his treatment. He thought it wasn't fair that the bill was so big because he was still healthy. So Peter came up with an idea.
Wait a second, that's it. They can't make a dead guy pay his bill.
Peter wrote on the bill that the patient had died. I didn't know that was a feature. Relieved he had escaped death and a large bill, Peter went home to celebrate with dinner. But the family's happiness was interrupted by a visitor. Death itself came to take Peter because he had declared himself dead.
Look, Death, you made a mistake. I'm not really supposed to be dead.
Oh, I made a mistake, huh? Then what do you call this?
Peter, is that your handwriting?
Now, Peter was forced to go with Death to the afterlife, but he was scared, so he tried to escape.
But no one's escaped me yet.
Luckily for him, Death slipped and hurt his leg. Well, since Death was hurt, he stayed at the Griffin's home until he got better. But this move had disastrous consequences as people stopped dying. Peter was the first to figure it out, so he decided to get something from it. First of all, he bet his friend that he could jump from a skyscraper.
$1,000 as I live.
Okay.
That's the price they'd sell his friend's life for? Just $1,000? Oof. After this win, he was on fire and went even further. He bet his friends he could survive a fight with a biker club, but this time, things went wrong. Peter's conflict with the bikers turned into a shootout, and everyone in the bar learned the truth about immortality. The news spread insanely fast. By the time Peter got home, it was already on the TV.
Our top story tonight, the rules of death no longer apply.
This made Death furious. Now, he insisted Peter take the scythe and become the Grim Reaper to remind people of the rules. I'd 100% put that on my resume. Scared of his own death, Peter had no choice. He took the scythe, which gave him Death's superpowers. Peter's task was to kill all the young celebrities from the show Dawson's Creek. Their deaths would be a big enough tragedy to scare people. And if Peter refused to do it, he would die himself.
Either you kill them or I kill you.
Ah, crap.
Using his new powers, Peter teleported to the plane with the cast. He waited, thinking about whether it was worth killing all these passengers just to save himself. He even called Death to share these doubts, but Death insisted on sticking to the plan.
Look, Peter, all you gotta do is sit there. The plane is gonna crash in LA. Pilot error, big mess, everybody dies.
Peter wasn't ready to sacrifice all those kids to save himself. So, he went to the pilots to warn them about the crash, but his abilities backfired. He instantly killed both of them with a touch. Luckily, there was a stewardess who knew how to land the plane. Death was pissed again, but Lois said that plan had actually succeeded anyway.
You said you wanted everyone to know the rules of death apply, and now the whole world does.
The situation was solved, so Death regained his powers. He left Peter and returned to his work. In this episode, Peter faked his death, hurt the Reaper, got his powers, and barely escaped the situation alive. Foolish choices can cause big problems, so think before you try to trick something powerful. However, Peter rarely thinks before he acts. So when he got a unique superpower in the episode Viewer Mail 2, his wild choices flooded the streets of Quahog with hundreds of Robin Williamses. Yep. The story started with Peter and Brian watching a TV show about Robin Williams. It was a roast. So many celebrities were saying bad things about him. Peter got furious because Robin Williams was his favorite actor. Not knowing what else to do, Peter ran outside and started yelling at God.
How can you allow this? Robin Williams has given us nothing but joy. I wish everyone was Robin Williams.
And in response to his rage, lightning fell from the sky and struck him. He woke up in the hospital. The doctor told him he had been in a coma. But now all his tests looked good, and Peter could go home. However, when they tried to shake hands, Peter's touch turned the doctor into a famous actor.
Oh my God, You're Robin Williams!
Peter was enjoying talking to his favorite actor. At this time, a nurse came in to perform the procedure. But when Peter touched her, she turned into Robin Williams too. That's when Peter realized the lightning had given him the power to turn everyone into his favorite actor. God really does work in mysterious ways. Peter was thrilled with his new superpower. He created more Robin Williamses all the way home. At home, he bragged about his amazing new ability.
Bet your kids never thought your dad would have superpowers, huh?
But Chris and Meg were not happy for him. His carelessness had turned them into Robin Williams too. This didn't teach Peter anything. He loved his superpower and went wild with it. Good morning, Quahog! You get it? Like Vietnam? Peter was thrilled with how he had changed the city.
This is great! Everyone's hilarious now!
But by the next morning, he got an unpleasant surprise.
Ha! You're not Lois!
During the night, Peter had accidentally transformed Lois. He rushed to Brian for advice on what to do, but ended up transforming him too. Now almost the entire Griffin family was made up of Robin Williamses.
What have I done?
Cornered by the mess he had created with his superpower, Peter considered suicide. But the gun also turned into little Robin Williams.
Damn these hands!
Now, everything Peter touched turned into Robin Williams. The city was full of them, and they were chasing him. Desperate, Peter jumped off a cliff, but even the spike at the bottom transformed into a Robin Williams, and he survived. Now, Peter had only one way out. He gathered all the Robins at the city square and addressed them from the roof of the city hall.
Please, you are done here. Go and spread your comedy to all corners of this country.
After freeing all the actors, Peter walked away. Almost alone, surrounded by the Robins who had replaced his family. I wouldn't exactly call this a happy ending, right? Anyway, this time Peter got a very unique power, but a city full of Robin Williams turned out to be a nightmare, not a dream. Our idols are important to us, but we need to have reasonable limits to admiration. But in the next episode, 3 Directors, Peter had no limits. He became the manliest man on the planet and was ready to use his incredible superpower to save the world. This story takes place in an alternate universe, where everything was created.
Was Michael Bay.
In this world, Peter Griffin also worked at Pawtucket Brewery, but here, he had the unique ability to throw kegs in every possible way. Despite his talents, Peter was a problematic worker, and after this situation, he found himself in even more trouble.
You're fired, Griffin, for destroying company property.
But Peter didn't stay idle for long. His country needed him. The world faced a new level of threat. One more cadence of Trump?
The Decepticons plan to destroy the 7 wonders of the world.
No, it's not as bad as I expected. These super robots had one major weakness. They were allergic to beer. This information gave the government an idea on how to stop the Decepticons.
If we could find someone strong enough to throw a keg with enough force, we might have a shot.
Luckily for the government, they knew their perfect guy for the job. The general went to ask Peter for help. Peter agreed and began assembling his team.
I'm putting together a team.
We're in.
The shortest recruitment ever, wouldn't you say? Now Peter was ready to save the 7 wonders. The first target of the Decepticons was the Hagia Sophia, so Peter and his team arrived in Istanbul. There they met their enemies.
We came from outer space to step on church stuff.
That does it. Let's have a fight with so many quick shots and close-ups you can't tell what's going on.
A pretty good summary of any Michael Bay film, I'd say. They started a devastating fight, destroying the city until Peter finally found a perfect moment to use a keg. Peter and the robot disappeared in a massive explosion. Everyone assumed he had sacrificed himself. The government organized a grand funeral for the fallen hero.
Today is the day we honor the late Peter Griffin, the hero who saved the 7 wonders of the world.
But just then, Peter revealed that he was actually alive. How? His superpowers were throwing kegs, not surviving an atomic blast. Peter used his uncommon superpowers to save the world's wonders, proving that real strength isn't always what it seems. And not all heroes wear capes. However, in the episode Get Stewie, Peter wore a cape, but made it from his own skin. This time, a new superpower allowed Peter to use his own body as the ultimate tool to solve problems. The story began when Chris asked Peter to play catch with him. Peter agreed, but his obesity got in the way.
You are a disgusting fat body!
The scene disturbed Lois. She was scared for Peter's future.
I think it might be time to get your weight under control.
Lois and Peter went to the hospital, where Dr. Hartman suggested a few options to solve the problem. Exercise more, diet, or quit drinking. Ooh, some paths are never meant to be walked. It seemed like that doctor was trying to steal happiness from Peter's life. Peter gave a harsh no to every suggestion. He wanted the easiest way out. Then the doctor suggested a lap band surgery.
I'll do it.
After the surgery, Peter looked and felt much better. However, the operation had a side effect. Peter now had a lot of excess skin, but he saw it not as a problem, but as an advantage. A level of self-acceptance we should all strive for, I think. The more Peter spent time in his new body, the more he embraced its advantages. But the new interest was hurting Chris, because Peter had promised to support him with his school task. But this new Peter didn't make Chris happy, as he was expecting his father's help.
So are you gonna help me with my science fair project?
Peter refused. He was too focused on himself and his new abilities. Lois told Peter that he needed to pay attention to Chris and his needs. But Peter used his new ability and escaped into the cocoon. I'm pretty sure we won't see this new superhero in the new Avengers. Lois continued trying to draw Peter's attention to the problem.
Peter, the whole reason you got this surgery in the first place was so you could spend time with your son. And all you've done is ignore him.
Her words had an effect on Peter. He started thinking about his responsibilities to his son. Meanwhile, Chris was struggling at the science fair. Without his father's help, he had made a weak project, and it was literally falling apart. The last straw came when he lost his kite, which was crucial for his main experiment. But as heroes do, Peter appeared at the last moment.
Well, there's no way to compete without a kite, so the least surprising F of the day goes to...
I'll be his kite.
Dad?
Using his skin as wings, Peter flew up and balanced on the wing high above Quahog. Unfortunately, the wired object in the sky attracted lightning. The lightning strike restored Peter to his original appearance. This is how lightning works? But this accident turned out to be the big win for Chris, as he proved his science theory and won the fair. In this episode, Peter turned his excess skin into a superpower. Though in real life, it would only really bring pain and problems. But the moral of the story is not about skin, but about the fact that you don't need superpowers to be a hero for your loved ones. And even better if your loved ones could be heroes with you. In the episode Viewer Mail 1, all the Griffins got superpowers and became the #1 problem for their own city. This story started when a truck lost a tank of toxic waste in the Griffin's yard. The family went outside to check the disaster. Excited, Chris rushed to the tank and accidentally opened the valve, flooding the yard with the waste.
What is this stuff?
Yeah, it's some kind of nuclear waste.
As soon as the family came into contact with the waste, they instantly changed. No, not like that. Turned out that every family member got a unique superpower. Chris had fire conjuring, Stewie telekinesis, Brian super speed, Peter morphing ability, and Lois super strength, and Meg the ability to grow fingernails. However, this new level of power required control, so Lois warned her family.
We have a responsibility to use these powers properly and not to abuse them for personal gain. Understand?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Got it.
It was really hard for Peter not to use his new power all the time. So when Meg asked him to get a lock of Justin Timberlake's hair, he easily agreed. Peter transformed into Britney Spears and sneaked into his dressing room.
Can I have some of your hair?
I guess so.
Easy access made Peter happy. He really loved his superpower. And, as it turned out, the other families were also abusing their abilities.
This is just one of many public disturbances caused by the Griffin family of Quahog, who seem to have acquired superpowers.
What a surprise! This level of danger disturbed the citizens. They called a meeting at Quahog Town Hall. While Mayor West was talking about plans to stop them, the Griffins showed up themselves.
You can't stop us, Mayor West.
Peter transformed into a Tyrannosaurus to scare the citizens. He declared the dictatorship of the Griffins in Quahog. Oh boy, I think Mayor West just got extinct in this political battle. However, Mayor West wasn't going to give up his city so easily.
We have to fight fire with fire. If nuclear refuse gave them superpowers, it could do the same for me. Citizens, I'm off to the toxic waste dump.
But his plan failed in a very dramatic way. Instead of superpowers, he got a lethal disease.
Mayor West, you have lymphoma.
Oh man. When the Griffins got the news about his illness, they rushed to the hospital. They felt terrible about his condition. The Griffin family realized it was their fault, so they swore never to abuse their powers again.
Well, for now, we are going to use our powers to help you get better.
Thank you.
This time, the Griffin family shows the reckless use of superpowers can have serious consequences and affect everyone around you. The lesson here is that with great power comes great responsibility, and it's important to use it wisely for the greater good. And for all our good, it would be wise to subscribe and like this video. Thanks for watching.